Scooter Braun has allegedly sold JK's music, and we need to talk about it and get into it. People have been upset as they believe Lee Yoo Bi was seen at camp with JK, and then we have journalists writing something about the label. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. There's a lot of conversation on BTS's label and their relationship with NewJeans. This conversation has been ongoing for a really long time, as a lot of people have felt like the girl group has received a lot of special treatment, and people believe they're an industry plant. This is a very interesting theory to get into, because if you're going to talk about how one group, specifically a K-pop group, is an industry plant, then you have to talk about how, if you're going by the Western definition of industry plant, then all K-pop idols would be one. An industry plant follows the definition of someone that is being made by the industry in an attempt to be super successful. And they're just planted there by said industry in hopes that people will connect with the artist and the industry can make a lot of money. And that's exactly what K-pop companies do. I never personally saw this as a bad thing, because it's fun to have a company behind you and push you. And you're not going to get very far as an artist anyway unless you're really talented. And the label starts to make them really talented. Otherwise, the artist won't go very far. So they work hard to become extremely talented, and then they're pushed by the industry. I don't see a problem with this. I think a lot of people are jealous about this because a lot of artists who are hardworking may not get the same spotlight as this industry plant. And that's to say that the industry plant is not hardworking, and we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. And even if a singer is super talented, when they get super famous, they're going to be called untalented anyway. Aside from all that, a lot of people believe that NewJeans has been specifically pushed by hype, with the journalists coming out and saying that NewJeans is considered the princess of the label. And a lot of people are upset because they don't feel like other artists within the label have gotten the same treatment. The journalist alleges that the girl group received special treatment even as they were trainees, specifically saying that the label had made deals for them while they were still trainees, and getting in contact with Nike and reaching out to specific brands, specific things like Powerpuff Girls collaboration and that sort of stuff. Now, this is, in my opinion, not really a bad thing if it's true. These are extremely difficult things to prove true. So when you see things like this, of course, you have to take them with a grain of salt. But if it's true, this is not a bad thing. The label is doing their job by signing people that they believe are going to be really good, and as they're training, they organize opportunities before they debut. I hope more labels do this in general. However, I think the complaint isn't necessarily that they're getting this treatment, but that there may be other artists that aren't getting this treatment. But this was also like the next girl group for the label, and they have failed with other girl groups in the past. So they definitely wanted to make sure that this girl group was going to be very successful. One thing that I think people don't understand is that it doesn't matter how many connections you pull. Just because, let's say, I were to be on Forbes, or I were to be on Wall Street Journal, or whatever, and just be plastered everywhere, doesn't necessarily mean that whatever I'm selling is going to sell. It doesn't even mean that most people would buy those magazines or newspapers just because my face is on them. People still have to like them. So regardless of if the label pulled those connections, the girls still have to be marketable, which they end up being. So it kind of worked out. And marketability is really the right thing to focus on, because you can literally be plastered anywhere and everywhere, but you won't have a career unless people are actually connecting with you or like you. And you might think that people don't like someone, but if they're watching them or if they're paying attention, then they do like them. But also, even if they're having a conversation and talking about someone, and someone is at the heart of that conversation, that means that they're entertaining enough, and that's really all you need to be. However, there's this rumor going around that Scooter Braun sold JK's music or sold his solo stuff. Basically, the rumor is saying that Scooter Braun took control over his solo work and ruined it, or whatever it is. Now, did Scooter Braun take control over JK's work and produce and help produce the English album? Absolutely. But this doesn't mean anything other than the fact that he did that. Some people are taking this to mean that this must mean that Scooter Braun is attempting to separate JK and BTS. And that's not true at all. All Scooter Braun is doing is trying to make money, and that's it. You cannot force people, especially nowadays, to do something they don't want to do. So for example, if Scooter Braun is like, I want JK to go solo, if JK doesn't want to do that, Scooter can't do anything. So if you look at it from that perspective, and then realize that Scooter Braun is probably thinking, okay, well, JK wants to do an album, he wants to do an English album, let's do that, and then afterwards, doesn't really matter. Scooter has made his money, Scooter moves on. Most people in the industry and most entrepreneurs are very aware about the idea that sometimes a project is just a one-off project. You make your money from that, and then you move on to the next project, and that's it. There was even comments saying that this seemed like such a small deal to people that are not part of the community, but to people within the community, this is a big deal. No, this is just not a big deal, period, because I'm not understanding what the big deal is. The big deal seems to be that in some people's heads, and it's assumptions that haven't been proven, and that's that's just really it. It hasn't been proven. And so why is something that maybe people outside the community would see as not a big deal is probably because they're like, well, nothing's been said yet. Do people honestly think that if JK wanted to go solo, he would not have done that already? He didn't have to enlist right away. He didn't have to go to the military at that moment. He could have waited a few years and probably fit in a very successful solo career and taken over the West doing that. But he chose to go back to the military for the sole purpose of being united with the group for 2025. Scooter has not intervened in this. This is still happening. This is still something that JK said he really wants to do. There's also a lot of dating rumors that have been recirculating, and some of these rumors are definitely a bit wild in my opinion. For example, JK is believed to be dating Lee Yoo Bi. She's an actress and she is someone who is very beautiful, so a lot of people have made assumptions of them being together, and this has derived from a YouTube channel not too long ago making assumptions and spreading this rumor. Now I also want to clarify what is considered a rumor and what isn't. Talking about a rumor is not considered spreading a rumor. However, addressing a rumor or something that is made up as 100% fact is starting a rumor. And it's believed that this channel has addressed everything as 100% fact. But I believe this channel is in Korean. So I can't even fully say that's how they address things because I don't know. But this is what the rumors have been saying about the channel. The rumor surrounds things like them wearing similar bracelets or them maybe having similar interests. Lee's career started to blow up a little bit, and I think that this is then what made the topic of her dating JK a lot more interesting because her name was getting out there. But really, these are the only pieces of evidence or facts that people are using to say that the two are dating. It's not really anything substantial, and it's a very, very weak argument. Wearing the same jewelry and not even wearing the same distinct jewelry, wearing the same jewelry that anyone could buy is not considered dating, but it's also jewelry that, as I said, anyone can buy. It's not uncommon. If this is a piece of jewelry that only one person in the world had and it was a custom made for that one person, and then we see two people wearing the same one, that assumption could make a lot more sense. However, then we would consider things like them being friends or whatever it is. Now, this rumor has resurfaced as a lot of people have been digging up things to talk about. People have been looking into things and revisiting old stories. So people are revisiting this idea that JK and this actress and a lot of people are thinking and trying to see if there's any romantic moment. If Lee has visited the camp with flowers or what have you. I think if anyone visits the camp, especially another celebrity, it would not be something that was widely known because I don't think paparazzi and media sites just hang out around the entrance of the military place because they don't know what they're going to find. And paparazzis don't just like camp out in case a celebrity walks by. What I know is that the common misconception is that people think that paparazzis are just like live where they think celebrities are and then just stay there for days until they find one. Paparazzis would make no money doing this, and it's easier to camp out at places like a concert or places that you know a celebrity will be at and then sell those pictures to news sites, and that's how they make their money. So even if she was visiting the camp, no one would know, and we would not hear about it, but I also think that she probably isn't. There just wouldn't be any reason for her to go, as the two have not been even remotely connected to each other. They're in the same industry, but different parts of the industry, and there would be no opportunity for them to have ever met. They are not within the same social circle. I don't believe people within their circle know each other, and they're also not people who are within the same label, and they're not people who go to the same type of events. Maybe like a movie premiere, which like JK obviously has been at, but any of the movie premieres that we know of, I don't think she's been there. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks. Just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.